Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard, and I'd like to thank you for listening, whether you're an OU fan wanting to grieve our second straight loss, first time since 99, a Texas fan looking to take a clip of ours out of context and post it on the internet, or an Iowa State fan looking to dance on our grave. I'm just happy you're here. You gave me a cent of your anchor money. So welcome to the pod. Glad to have you in. With me today, as always, my co-host Jamison, my co-host Ty. Welcome on, guys. But again, another sad occasion. This is a truly historic moment for both our podcast. Well, nobody cares about our podcast, but both our pod. This is the first time we've ever had two regular season losses, but first time back-to-back losses for the Sooners since 1999. It's major stuff. OU's out of the playoff pretty much entirely, unless 2007 stuff happens, which it won't. But we're gonna, like our slogan says, we're rolling on. This wagon doesn't stop, and it comes to a very tough game against Texas. We will get into that on our Texas preview. Yeah, we're getting 3 pods for y'all this week, folks. But let's just get right to it. Iowa State beat OU, and Jamison, I just got to ask you, what went wrong?
I mean, really, everything went wrong except for Spencer Rattler. I will hang on, and I think this is very, very, for real, dude. Spencer Rattler.
No, we agree.
Okay, good. I was hoping you weren't.
It's just really funny. No, it's just really funny.
Dude, Spencer killed it. He had so many good throws, and there's a couple drops, touchdowns to Obialo and Theo Weiss. When that Theo Weiss throw was just beautiful. The last throw, he admitted he was wrong. He didn't see the safety. But if there wasn't a hold, I'm not going to say revisionist history. I'm not going to say it was the ref's fault. Still a bad throw. It would have been a 50-50 ball between their safety and Charleston Rambo. So take that as you will. I'm not taking Spencer Rattler at fault too much there. All in all, offensive line, embarrassment again. Why the hell is Eric Swenson starting again whenever it's obvious that Anton Harrison is 20 times better? I saw something on PFF. PFF graded Anton Harrison our second highest player on the team. Why the hell is he not playing more? Why is Swenson playing on the end of the drive? I don't understand what Bill Beanbaugh is doing there. Wide receivers, embarrassing. Running backs, they're not embarrassing. It's just sad because we don't have anybody. That's our offense. We are Oklahoma. We shouldn't have 3 out of the 4 position groups being embarrassing. There's no excuse for that in the slightest.
Absolutely. And I think the problem with OU is you hear these little bits as the season goes on of, Caleb Kelly out for the year, or, Kennedy Brooks opting out, Trey Sermon transferring to Ohio State. And every time you get one bit stripped away, you're so used to OU football, finding a guy to stick another guy back in there, reload, move on. At this point in OU football, we're not good enough. We don't have enough guys to plug in and win at the clip we had before. It just isn't. The roster's just not good enough right now that we're putting out there. It's frustrating, but it's just kind of how things are right now. I again think this was a completely avoidable loss for OU. Iowa State, while they played fantastic, I thought they played sharp. The OU left a lot of stuff on the table that I think could have used correcting. If OU played sharper, if they took opportunities given to them, both on the offensive standpoint, just throws that could have been made, easy dropped passes, dropped interceptions. It was there for the taking. OU once again didn't show up, didn't produce, and it's very frustrating. But Ty, I got to ask you, Iowa State. So as you mentioned last week, they are video game NPCs. Why did they have to turn it up to expert, super hard Heisman mode on us? Because
miles on every purchase every day.
Jennifer Garner.
I'll allow it.
Hang on, I can't hear you guys. What'd you guys say?
Hey,
I pulled up ESPN and
telling
Oh,
us
you guys could hear that? Okay. Yeah, that's why I couldn't hear you guys.
the Capital One venture card. And
You
here
wanna
we
get
will
away?
drop
I was
our
like
anchor
desperately
ads.
looking for it, trying to play it cool. I was like, where's this coming from?
Jennifer Garner, come on the podcast.
Yeah,
Anyways, Ty, I had some clever quip about how
my bad.
Iowa State's game mode was turned up to like expert because those NPCs were firing off pretty hard. Did the Cyclones impress you at all?
I think they, we can't not give them credit, but they played exactly how I think we all expected them to play. Just like we said, they were going to be, nothing fancy, just sound in everything, and just kind of good enough across the board that they could punish us for mistakes. And when I look back at what we said about Iowa State, I don't see any of it really being incorrect. OU lost here. OU could have won it. We are objectively a better team with better players, and we lost it because our guys can't put it together this year for whatever reason. I mean, Brock Purdy was 50%, and Breece Hall, like we talked about, was a key part of that offense that really messed us up. So yeah, it went exactly how we said it would if we didn't execute, and we didn't.
Yeah, and again, my thing is everything we said, like you've said, like we've said, in our conversations, everything we said was right. If OU executed and played their game, took advantage of the opportunities given to them, and actually looked like OU normally does, they would have won this game. Iowa State, they weren't anything fancy, like you said. They played their game, they were solid, but they weren't incredible. Breece Hall, insane, but again, Brock Purdy didn't do anything that much to impress me. Most other secondaries in the country would have had like 3 or 4 picks off that guy.
Yeah.
So
honestly, I think, speaking about the secondary, OU could have won had we just not played Buki. Like, literally, I'm not even talking someone in his place. I'm talking 10 people on the defense. We probably could have won.
Just because they would drop balls.
Dropping passes. The only thing he did was he had 2 tackles. That's it. And he gave them, I think, over 50 yards. One of his pass interference plays, the dude was already covered perfectly, and Buki comes out of nowhere and pass interferes him for no reason. Like, it was just absolute stupidity on his part at like every available opportunity. He was like, what can I do that's really stupid here?
I mean, it was brutal. And go ahead, Jamison.
Yeah, it's weird, really, because this season, honestly, we haven't talked too much about him. He's been pretty sound, and he's been doing somewhat decent on this defense. We knew him as a guy, excluding the LSU game near the end of last season, of doing really good at diagnosing plays beforehand and getting there. And while he never was a good tackler, he was playing like a smart defender. Something fell off this game. And I don't care if he played well versus K-State. I don't care if he played well versus Ty calls him Montana State. I almost forgot they're from Missouri State now. That game feels like eons ago. He should have been pulled for Jeremiah Curdell. There's no excuse for it. You make a mistake. Okay, Alex Grinch has pulled people on this defense for 1 mistake and never put him in the back game. 2 mistakes, 3 mistakes, 4 mistakes, 5 mistakes. I lost count. There's definitely more than 5 mistakes. And that dude didn't get a lick of getting pulled. It was absolutely embarrassment, and I don't know why Grinch has his guys of Fields, Turner Yell, and Buki. Are they just untouchable? It makes no sense to me. No sense at all.
Well, because
so yeah. You can go, Bobby.
Yeah, no, I'll say a quick thing. I believe they have a combined like 90 starts between them. It clearly isn't working. Mix some other blood in there. I need to see more in there because it just isn't working. Ty, what are you going to say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was just going to say I read an ESPN article after the game as well, and about a fourth to a third of the article was just, what the hell is Oklahoma doing with this Buki guy? And I forget who it was, or the specifics of it, but basically I think they surmised that it was probably a recruiting thing that we're keeping him in to keep that pipeline open. But yeah, this was just absolutely, I don't even understand.
Yeah. Now that we're out of the playoff race, I don't see any reason at all on any position on this whole team why we shouldn't put in the young guys, our new recruits, especially on defense, of why they shouldn't get way more play than they have been. I want to see more of Bryson Washington at safety, the guy that was supposed to be the stereotypical Grinch guy, the 6'2", runs a 4.3 something 40. At safety. I want to see that. I want to see more Josh Eaton. I want to see more Kendall Dennis. I want to see all of those guys, even though they're young freshmen, they're 6'2" and extreme athletes with 40-inch verticals. You see Buki coming across the end zone, and he has to push up over the guy's shoulders to just get even high enough to get to the high point on the ball. That is what a little kid does. That is not what a Bobby does. D1.
Damn. Bobby, you could have made better decisions out there.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, well, I mean, honestly, I would have just stayed all the way back and tried to be a roadblock over them. At least I would have tried to get in front of people. Just I'd be way behind them and then kind of have to waddle over and make sure I get in their way. But either way, and I'll say this especially about our guys we have behind the guys we're playing. That graphic that came up, the infamous 5'10" graphic, all these guys we're about to be putting in are much bigger than that. Like Jamison said, we're talking 6'2", 6'1", solid quarterbacks that are Grinch guys. And yeah, no, I know things aren't right now. I know the defense isn't right, but it wasn't supposed to be perfect. Most defensive coordinators take about 2 or 3 years, usually 3 years to get their system fully installed, get their guys in place. And we knew it was going to. I think we thought we'd take a more of a step towards what we wanted out of the defense this year. However, I think it's pretty clear that's not going to happen unless we get the personnel we need in. And quite frankly, we did not have the right personnel in at all last Saturday because we got straight up bullied by those big wide. Apparently everyone in Iowa State is a captain. Those big wide receivers, tight ends. Everyone had a captain's thing on there. It made no sense, but again, all respect to Iowa State. We don't want to bash Iowa State here. You got to give a lot of credit to Iowa State. Got to respect them. Again, very solid team. Matt Campbell, noted not coward Matt Campbell. Good work, Iowa State. So I would like to go into the segment of say one nice thing about Iowa State. Ty, you start. We're trying to be a nice neutral podcast. Is there anything nice you want to say about Iowa State before we move on?
Yeah, I will say I did like the uniforms. Those were neat. I would have liked some. This is not on Iowa State's ends because Iowa State did their part because they adjusted the field as well to the blacked out uniforms, but I would like to see some continuity in sort of on the ESPN side and on the production side with graphics tied to sort of uniforms because it's kind of weird, when Iowa State is in black and white and we're in white and red, and then our graphics are our colors, but then their graphics on the TV are red and yellow. It's just a little OCD thing. And then I guess a bonus secondary thing for Iowa State. Their secondary looked really good, mostly because all of our receivers are absolute busts. All of our star receivers besides Mims are absolute trash and should have their scholarships revoked and be cut. So good on Iowa. But I mean, so just real quick, I know it was supposed to be about Iowa State. Look at our receivers. Our number one receiver was our tight end. Okay. He's good. He's not that good. Okay.
And he should have got more catches.
Yeah, and the only reason he was getting the catches he was because we were going through the progressions 3 times and then eventually he was open. And then we have Rambo, we have a running back, we have a dude from UCLA, we have another running back, we have an 18-year-old, another running back, and then Drake Stoops. It's unbelievable how much of a bust our superstar wide receivers have turned out to be.
It's really
Anyway,
sad. Theo Weiss. Theo
good on
Weiss is
you,
the
Iowa
biggest
State.
thing. Yeah, Theo Weiss. Just let's keep on going with this. Absolute disappointment. I said in the preseason, like, I don't think he's going to be the number one. I thought Rambo's going to be the number one, but Weiss, he has just disappeared. This was his time.
Number like 15, though.
No way. I mean, this dude is solid. I do not know what's wrong. There's no nagging injuries. There's nothing. That dropped touchdown. I understand that was kind of tough because Rattler was rolling out and threw a miracle ball across the field a little bit as he was rolling outside, and it was a tough catch. And we're kind of giving him a lot for dropping it, but he didn't do anything else in that whole game to say like, oh, at least he did this during the game. That was his moment, and he dropped it. He legitimately dropped the ball.
I mean, you gotta get more involved, and I need to see that out of the wide receivers across the board. I know it's hard because we don't have a run game. Basically, kills the RPO, which is Lincoln Riley's bread and butter. I mean, since Lincoln's been here, we've had P. Ryan Mixon, and then I guess at that point Rodney Anderson, who's a killer, and then Anderson and Sermon. And then Sermon, and then Sermon Brooks. So, I mean, we've always had a stacked running back. We've always had at least two running backs who we can reliably trust in that RPO. And we just it really takes such a huge chunk out of Lincoln Riley's offense when they don't respect the run in the RPO. And it really makes things difficult on our receivers to get open. But still, I would like to see more creativity out of them to, find a way. It's really frustrating on all ends because this is an offense we thought would at least be able to execute. But when things get tough, they just fall apart. They just can't get open. It's down the line, receivers, O-line, running backs. Just we thought last week that what we saw in the second half of that Kansas State game was an anomaly, that it was just OU fell apart. We've seen that act before. But these are deep problems. These are things that aren't going to get fixed with, a couple guys who smoked a bunch of weed coming back. That's
not true. No, Stevenson. All joking aside, Stevenson coming back is going to be huge.
It's going to help.
Unless he has like some lingering injury or he has not kept up with his fitness over this. Him coming back, I think, is going to be one of the biggest keys to this offense.
And I think Perkins more than anything is going to be huge, as well as Stevenson, of course. Bridges, might be good to get a couple ejections out of him. He could have taken Breece Hall right out. I gotta say, just throw him out on defense. It would have been an accident. But
didn't I gouge someone one time?
Maybe, I don't know. Shout out Iowa State Twitter for being like, OU's podcast supports eye gouging.
Yeah. Oh, nice things. You guys got to say your nice things.
I'll say this. I've got one nice thing about Iowa State is we dog kind of on it being quote unquote arrogant because we say that we beat ourselves. Iowa State didn't beat us. In all honesty, we beat ourselves, but Iowa beat us because they didn't make a mistake. They didn't screw up. Brock Purdy had a couple of bad throws that could have been picked off, but they didn't end up making more mistakes than we did. And that's how you win a football game. And honestly, it doesn't matter. You don't have to win a football game by just playing exceptional, and like looking really, really good as long as you get the win. Sometimes you just have to make less mistakes than the other team. And that's what Iowa State did. And they deserve to win. So
exactly.
Just because I'm saying we beat ourselves doesn't make us arrogant. It just means that we made more mistakes than the team we were playing against.
And that's how Iowa State wins football games. They do what they do, and they wait for you to break, especially on defense. That's how they beat TCU. They had so many big plays, and they did the exact same thing against OU. Our defense, I believe, is second to last among eligible FBS teams in yards per play, if not the worst. We're I believe, one of the worst teams in tackling next to Texas. And Vanderbilt, great company, folks, in terms of completing tackles. The defense just really, really screws us, and Iowa State made us pay through a lot of mistakes it wasn't like they were consistently moving the ball down the field and chopping at us and, making those drives, because usually on those longer drives, OU would slug it, turn it into a slugfest, make it a little messy and, hold them to a field goal. But Iowa State did a great job at, just pounding away and, finding us open for massive plays. So good on them for that. My nice thing about Iowa State, I thought it was very nice of them to showcase the history of the of college football in Iowa by wearing black and then, using the yellow accessories. So a really nice hat tip to, Iowa college football. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Damn, Bob's got still some salt. Ooh.
Super salty talking about Iowa.
Yeah, I'll just in my closing comments about Iowa State. I mean, it's like you guys just said. It's what we expected of them. Okay, they went out there and they let us make the mistakes. Iowa State is literally like the football equivalent of that dude that just DMs girls when they have a fight with their guy. Like, oh, I'm gonna treat you right. Like, he's there when you make the mistakes. And he's just sliding in. He's no one's first choice, but he can beat you here and there.
It reminds me of the YouTube video Luigi wins Mario Party by doing nothing, where they just have a controller with no input, and Luigi just sits there, wins every Mario Party game.
It's like Blake rolling the dice for the pick.
Man, I gotta say, we tried Iowa State. We tried to be nice. We tried to be civil. We're just too salty. But you know what? This is an OU football homer.
I don't care if we lost. We're still a better team.
Honestly, probably, look, if we replayed this, if we played in the Big 12 championship, I think OU wins. I think
I don't think we can ever beat them this season. I just think we're a better team.
I'm just saying, give us a couple more months, I think we'd beat them. We wouldn't.
Yeah, it's
hard. Go ahead. It's hard not to sound salty, but
yeah, we made takes before on a podcast where we put our takes out there, and some are going to be right and some are going to be wrong. We were confident. We are confident in what we said. Then people can come out after the fact and criticize us for our confident takes that were wrong. A lot of the times when you're confident, you're right. Sometimes you're wrong. But the people who come out of the brush and take down people that were confident before and call you arrogant for that, there's a fine line between arrogant and confidence. Fine line. And in no way, shape, or form, I don't think that was arrogant at all. We're a podcast who makes takes beforehand, and you have to be for sure and confident in them, or else what are we telling y'all? If I'm not confident in what I'm saying, are you just wasting your time listening to us? There's no point in listening to us at all. So I don't get in the slightest fact why you can call that arrogant, because you ain't coming out and saying stuff beforehand.
Well, it's also like arrogance is unfounded confidence. We had 5 years of OU football being awesome, winning Big 12 championships and winning these tough situations. And for that matter, 20 years of responding after a loss. There was founded belief that OU was going to do well. And I didn't think we were too brutal on Iowa State. So either way, thanks for the anchor money, folks.
If everyone thought Iowa State was going to win, the line would have been negative in their side. It was not a decision.
It's not an insane take to think that OU football is going to beat Iowa State. But, congrats to the Cyclones. Great win. That'll be remembered forever. Unfortunately, it happened in COVID times, and only 25% of the people could be there to enjoy it. No one rushed the field, and all the great memories that would have come if it was a normal year didn't come. So that kind of sucks. I'm sorry, Iowa State. I wish you would have gotten your, program defining win, in a normal year where you could enjoy it, but that's okay. Not salty. Anyways, let's move on. Final thoughts on OU Iowa State before we wrap up. And wrap this podcast up, because honestly, it's OU Texas week. I don't want any of our OU Texas fun to be sullied by such a dog shit game, and mainly bitterness towards a fan base that is frankly irrelevant. So, man, I'm digging myself a deeper hole here. So, Jamison, any thoughts on OU Iowa State before we move on?
I think my takes are pretty much almost the same as after K-State. I think that we just need to be more solid in the positions on our team that are supposed to hold us up and whenever we do make mistakes, keep us solid like the offensive line. They need to step up more, and they aren't. And my new take, and I'm going to re-say it again, we need to change up a lot of players on the defense. I don't care if they're going to be worse and do not as good. We need to get them some more snaps. We need to try something different. Because in my mindset, I don't care. Okay, Big 12 championships are nice, but I'm gunning for the playoffs. And then now I'm looking to the future. I'm looking, how can this team be better for next year? And I'm not saying put in the guys and we're going to tank this season. You know, it's not like we're going to only win a couple more games. We play our freshmen. I'm not saying only play them. I'm just saying I like Jaden Davis in the secondary. Everyone else, I want to try other people. Simple as that. Middle linebacker, I want to see more Shane Witter because I'm not seeing much of him. And Brian Asamoah's got a lot of energy in him, but I see a lot where he's hitting up the wrong holes, just similar to a young Kenneth Murray, where he's got a lot of energy with him, but he's still got a lot to learn. Deshaun White's solid, you know, but he's not the superstar that you need. D-line, I say keep it. There's really nothing too much depth-wise that we have. That's obviously from our past recruiting times. You know, maybe a little bit more Corey Robertson. You know, honestly, here's the biggest disappointment. I haven't mentioned this, and I know I'm talking for a long time here, but LaRon Stokes, man, like I feel like people forget about him so much. I thought he needed to be a huge part of this defense moving forward. And I can't tell you one time that I heard his name called in the games that I was there or on the TV. He had one tackle last game at the very, very bottom of the stat sheet. Like, that's the Big 12 newcomer of the year on a defensive line where you need people to produce. I don't know. The defensive line look the most solid out of all the position groups moving forward, but there's some people that really need to step up. And if Ronnie Perkins comes in place versus Texas, that's going to help. But still, there needs to be some changes, and it's for the betterment of the future moving forward.
Ty, your thoughts?
Yeah. So last thought on this game. People were talking about how Burkick isn't he missed his first kick in a game or something. It's like 54 yards or something like that, like in a storm. He's still an awesome kicker. Like, he hit a 51 yarder in a storm in this game. So people are like, oh, like his perfect streak is ruined or whatever. Like, his field goal miss didn't make the difference. It was a Hail Mary anyways, and he's still a super, super awesome kicker. It's not like he missed something crazy. And it wasn't like a high pressure thing either. It was, we were up and we were just kicking it, and I don't see any fault in him. I saw a lot more than I thought there'd be stuff faulting him. Like,
that's so weird.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have even made the point differential. Like,
no,
we lost by cover.
It's just emotional people. There's nothing to it.
And maybe there'd be something to it if it was like a high pressure kick that he missed, because then you could say, oh, that's one of his only high pressure situations, and maybe he's not good under pressure or something. But there was nothing to criticize there. It was a miss. He still had it long enough. This dude might be kicking 60-something yarders soon. He's definitely capable of it with the right conditions. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess my final thoughts. Yeah, no, this sucks that we, our playoff run is, kaput. Again, listen, 2007 stuff happens, whatever. But you know what? Like, this is still OU football. Months ago, we were stuck doing nothing, doing, sourdough starter and playing Animal Crossing, and now we have OU football. So for everyone out here who's upset about, how everything's gone, yeah, I'm upset too. But you know what? Every Saturday, you still put on that OU hat. You still put on that shirt, because if you're really an OU fan, you're here for the team. You're here for the university that you care about, or the team you like. Bought a shirt off Walmart and it makes you feel some sort of validation. If that's the case, get out of here. Anyways, we don't need you. But what I'm trying to say is, it's football season. Just don't give up.
We've lost 75% of the OU fan base.
What? You don't want me in my Walmart shirt? So all I'm trying to say is, look, just don't give up on this team. This isn't the death of OU. We always come back. This happens every 5 years anyways, and everyone, throws dirt on us, says it's over, and they come back. They come back stronger. So, yeah, it's tough, but just enjoy the little moments. Don't spend the rest of your season wishing that we could be in the, playoffs or, national championship, because that doesn't do anything. Just take every game as you can, put everything into it. And, if you win, hey, have a fun time. It doesn't matter, just enjoy everything about this season, because as we've seen, it can be taken in a flash, and, it's crazy out here. So just enjoy what we have, even though it's awful and we're in a 1-2 hole here, but you know what? It's OU football. Just appreciate it for what it is. So that's what I got to say. And the future is still bright. I'm still very convinced in that. So anyways, well, for me, Jamison, and Ty, this has been the Schooner Pod. We will be back at it tomorrow to break down OU Texas. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you then. Boomer Sooner.